What is up, everybody? It is your boy Nick Noodles back from the dead with another great video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about some of the best and worst sneaker releases of this year. And there have been a lot of really good releases, and there's also been a lot of really shitty ones. So let's talk about it, and maybe towards the end we can talk about the best way to release a sneaker based off what we've seen. But without further ado, I want to talk about some of the best releases this year, and the number one release that comes to mind has to be the Alma Maniere Air Jordan 3s. And this release was really good for manual users. I think pretty much for every release, bots were stopped. And what I really liked about this release was that there were just so many opportunities. There were 4. There was a raffle, which I was able to hit on. There were 2 first come first serve releases, which used really good Shopify bot protection. They had a domain change and they had H capture checkpoints. So pretty much no bots worked. If you don't know, whenever there is a domain change on a Shopify site, bots struggle to find the product. In fact, they can't find it at all. So manual users absolutely cooked those releases. And then lastly, there was a sneakers drop. So the ratio of hype to the amount of people that hit manually was incredibly high for this shoe. I don't think it's my sneaker of the year. Like, there are shoes that I like more than it, but it is definitely the best release of the year so far, and they definitely set the gold standard for releases in 2021. Some other really good releases, we had both Bodega drops and the social status dunks. Both those websites use domain changes again, and stock was pretty high, so everyone was able to hit. Undefeated, in my opinion, did a really good job with their Air Force One and dunk packs that released. What I really liked about these packs was that there were, again, multiple opportunities. There were, 6 different shoes, 3 different packs. So you had to have walked away with at least one, in my opinion. Like, there's no way you took an L on every single release, because even some of those dropped on the sneakers app too. The bot protection for those releases was all right. They did a password page and they had an H capture checkpoint, which if there's low stock numbers on a drop like that, then bots are going to eat. If you've gone for any undefeated drop, you know that they literally sell out in like 15 to 30 seconds. It happened with the Sakai fragments a few weeks ago. It doesn't matter if they throw up the checkpoint or if they have a password page up. If the stock is limited, bots are going to eat. But when the stock is really high, then manual and bots get to eat. The last release I want to praise is the off-white dunks. Now, this could be a little bit controversial, but for the most part, pretty much all bots were stopped. I do think that Nike needs to work on their exclusive access algorithm, because it is definitely not perfect. There were people with multiple accounts hitting across all of those accounts. There were people with no activity that were hitting. And then there were also people with, tons of activity engaging on the app every single day, and they had nothing to show for it. However, this wasn't really anything you could bot that I'm aware of. And, again, the stock numbers were just insanely high for this release, for it being an Off-White collab and a Nike dunk, 2 of the hottest trends right now. Nike's giving the people what they want, so you really do like to see that. One of my only real gripes with this release is that it just went on way too long. They could have easily done this in the span of like 1 to 3 days, but they definitely chose to do it over a 2-week period so that they could draw as much engagement on the app as possible. So that kind of wraps up all the really good releases. Now it's time to shit on some of the worst releases of the year. The first one we have to roast has to be the Trophy Room ones. If you don't know, Trophy Room got another Jordan collaboration, and this time they decided to do a really nice Chicago colorway. That thing was iced out. I think my phone froze when I loaded up pictures of it for the first time, and it really is a shame because the release was a disaster. 90% of the pairs seem to be backdoored before the release. Now, this hasn't been confirmed, but there's just so much evidence that points towards it. First of all, like, people were posted up with them weeks before the release, and then on the actual release, there were only 2 ways of getting it. The first was through a raffle, and the raffle was a shit show. You had to like email Trophy Room your size and like your info, which is a terrible idea, because anybody who has any programming knowledge, like a first-year computer science major, could write up a script that just spams their email. And that's pretty much what happened, because within 30 seconds, their inbox is full. So like no one's entry counted for it. And, doing a raffle is a good way to hide all your stock numbers so that people can't, verify if you backdoored or not. The second way to get it was through exclusive access, and I highly doubt they loaded more than 500 pairs on the sneakers app. So whoever, hit that, whoever got exclusive access literally won the lottery. Real shame that the release was so bad, because this was definitely going to be one of the best Jordan 1s of the year, if not the Jordan 1 of the year. But because the release was just so dumb, it was more like a friends and family release, you really can't give the shoe any credit. The next release we need to roast has to be the Union Jordan 4s. I don't know what went through Union's mind when they decided to do a raffle. If you don't know, the past 2 Jordan releases that Union has done, they have completely stopped bots both times. The Jordan 1s and the original Jordan 4s. I think they did domain changes on the Jordan 1s. They definitely did on the Jordan 4s. And they also had like questions that you had to answer to add to cart. You would think that on their 3rd Jordan release, they would just rinse and repeat, do the same domain change, add a question to add to cart or whatever. But instead they decided to do a raffle, and it really makes no sense why they decided to do a raffle. They had the resources to do it like they've always done in the past, but they just decided to do a raffle. And I don't know if it's because they backdoored all the pairs or they thought it would work out better, because it did not work at all. There were a lot of issues with people verifying their entries. You had to add a credit card to verify your entry. However, like a lot of people just didn't get the message that you needed to go and verify your card. And then on top of that, people were botting the shit out of this raffle. I don't know how they got around the raffle bot protection, but it just didn't work. People were selling off invoices left and right. They were hitting so much that they had to sell the invoices off to other people. Otherwise, it looked suspicious if they had, all these Jordan 4s shipping to one address. And then there were also people getting multiple invoices that like won fair and square. And it just makes no sense. It was also really annoying having to check your email like every single day because you had 24 hours to purchase it. And for whatever reason, they had your credit card information, but you like had to check out once you got an invoice. Like if I'm giving you my credit card information, just take the money if I win. Like I shouldn't have to check my email when you have everything you need. The next release we have to roast has to be the Travis Scott Jordans. And again, this is just an example of someone with all the money in the world, all the right resources, choosing the literal worst way to release a shoe. Travis Scott literally shits money. Like he puts his name on anything and it sells. It's insane. And so it makes no sense why, this dude continues to do raffles, especially because he hosts all his merchandise on a Shopify site. Like I know you can afford the Shopify Plus premium plan so that you can get, nice bot protection on a first come first serve release. There were a lot of screenshots of people like showing they entered 10 or 20,000 times for a raffle, and that's probably cap, but who knows, it could be real, especially if they were like running for other people and it was unique information. It seemed like all you needed to make your entries count was to have a different IP address. But after all the controversy with the raffle and the Jordan 1 high release, you'd think, man, we're gonna change things up. But no, they just, did the same thing that they did for the highs on the lows. And I swear, the admin team running Travis Scott's Discord, they literally have ant-sized brains. Like, really shitty release. I don't think we're ever going to see a first come, first serve. Say what you will about Travis Scott. He is a really good businessman. He, knows how to get his name out there and make money. But dude cannot release a sneaker to save his life. The last release we have to talk about has to be Joe Freshgoods. And I was really excited for this New Balance shoe to come out. New Balance collabs have been popping off this year, but this release was just so disappointing for so many reasons. If you don't know, Joe Freshgoods did a 992, I think last year or the year before. I can't really remember, but that shoe was mainly a Chicago exclusive, I believe. It might have also released in DC, but it was more of like a friends and family release. It was not worldwide. And that is, reflective in its price tag. That is a very expensive New Balance shoe. So when he, got another chance with New Balance, I was really hoping that, we would have a decent chance of copping, especially because of the Salihi Bembury release and how there was a lot of stock, it seemed like, for everybody to hit. I had 2 pairs at one point. So going into this release, I had high expectations and I really wanted it. But it kind of just turned out to be another friends and family type release. And, all his attempts to try and release these shoes were just terrible. The first one he did was a, pop-up in Chicago at a park. And that release was a disaster. There were people that waited outside all day. They didn't have anything to show with it. There were people paying security guards that he hired to cut the line. And, obviously he can't do anything about that, but I feel like he could have planned it better. I don't know. Then he had a raffle, and I don't think anybody won the international raffle. It seemed like everybody who did win the raffle was going to pick it up in store. For the New Balance release, they loaded 100 pairs on the site. So, I don't even know who got that, but there were probably like 50,000 people in line, and only 100 people copped it. After that, he had some boutiques raffle off pairs or sell pairs, but from the looks of it, it looks like it was extremely limited. Like Kith probably got the most stock and they probably had 100 or 200 pairs. Other sites probably had like one of each size. He tried to do a shock drop on his website. You know, you wouldn't have known about it unless you were in a cook group that was monitoring that Shopify site, because if you were on his mailing list, you were going to be too slow. And, you know, he thought he was clever. He changed the name of the shoe to the Lemon Pepper Steppers, and that doesn't do anything. Like, a cook group is still going to pick up on that. There were bots that absolutely feasted once they had the link. So yeah, dude is a bozo in my opinion. Tries to act like he's for the people, but he really isn't. He claims that he tried his best for this release, but in my opinion, dude just does not know how to release sneakers. Really disappointed with that release because I was looking forward to that shoe. That pretty much wraps up the video. In my opinion, the best way to release a shoe is either through exclusive access like the Dunks. Once they refine that algorithm and try to give people a fair chance, get the shoes in the right hands. But I also really like the Shopify drops where it's a domain change and they have some type of age capture checkpoint. Any other Shopify release where it's, you know, just a checkpoint captcha or no checkpoint captcha and the stock is limited, I just skip out on it because I know I'm not going to hit. But let me know what you guys think down below. What is your favorite release this year or your, you know, least favorite? I want to hear your opinions, and I will see you on the next video.